And so now, just before we transition to our final session of the afternoon, we want to get to the conversation on smarter retail. Smarter retail. And it's about turning data, AI, and insights into competitive advantage. And the man who, anytime I see AI, things, and data, is right here. Please put your hands together for the moderator, Moses Kenibaro, as he comes. A round of applause to Moses as he comes. Yeah. Moses talks, breathes, all these matters. Welcome, man. It's good to see you. Lovely. So, over to you. He's going to call his people.
All right. Thanks so much. How are you?
Very well.
In a minute. I think the last time you and I did this, we had a conversation on AI.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you share maybe the AI?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Good stuff. So thanks so much. It's a pleasure once again to be here at RETRAK. And we're having this conversation really, I think, at a very fascinating moment when it comes to both retail within the context of Kenya and Africa. We know Kenya's GDP is expanding at about mid 4% range in 2025, and inflation is easing back towards 4%, even though the cost of living and input costs still feel high for most households. And I think, we're also seeing that overall trade is contributing about 8% to the GDP in this country. Modern retail chains are expanding, and many of whom I think are here today. And also we still see the informal trade, the dukas, still serve the bulk of daily baskets in most of our homes, which means that smart retail in Kenya really has to work both in malls and more of the modern types of shopping, but also within the neighborhood kiosk. But of course, layered on top of this is really a dynamic digital story. And of course, Kenya, for me, represents one of the most digitally progressive markets across the continent. We're seeing that digital commerce is roughly growing at about twice the global rate in Africa, and is expected to reach tens of billions of dollars in value across leading markets, making it a primary growth market for retail and not just a side channel. In Kenya, as we know, mobile first is everything, and e-commerce and social commerce are now mainstream. More than half of consumers have purchased via social platforms, and mobile apps do serve an important role in accounting for a large portion of the online orders. At the same time, digital payments adoption is so high that retailers lacking integrated mobile money, API-based checkouts, and risk double-digit drops in conversion compared to those without seamless flows. Yet this growth is happening in what RETRAK calls the perma-crisis environment, where we're seeing geopolitical tensions. I'm sure we all know about the Straits of Hormuz. All these things that are happening globally are really trickling down to how things are working here in terms of fuel costs. Food inflation has spiked overall inflation, and really already squeezing stretched household budgets in the country. And really, Kenyan retailers are facing currency volatility, margin pressure, higher import costs, and also indigenous chains have pushed past the 110 store mark, grown profits by over 40% year on year, and they're targeting 200 plus outlets in the medium term by using 24-hour operations, their own mobile apps, and blending physical and digital shopping. Consumers are also more value conscious than ever. Operating costs are higher, and competition, both physical and digital, is intensifying. But at the end of the day, we're in a situation where data rich but insight poor is what defines the modern retailer. You have POS, inventory, loyalty, e-commerce, delivery, and payments data flowing through your businesses, but much of it is still sitting in fragmented systems and monthly reports rather than shaping decisions in real time, what we tend to call predictive analytics. At the same time, AI has moved from a buzzword to a practical tool. Globally and here at home, retailers are starting to use advanced and even agentic AI to optimize pricing, assortment, fraud detection, and personalization at scale. African digital commerce is expanding at around 25% annually, which is just incredible. And mobile money, of which, of course, Kenya is the home of mobile money, now accounts for close to 70% or more of digital commerce in the market, creating enormous streams of behavioral data. But the gap at the same time between running pilots and doing things in a different way is important. So without further ado, I'd like us to really get into this session where we have 4 panelists who will be joining me here shortly. And I'd like to introduce our first one. Her name is Judy Waruiru. She's the Regional Managing Director at Network International. Please join us on the stage. Please give her a hand. Judy is a fintech executive and digital payment strategist who serves as Regional Managing Director for Network International. She's led digital payments and transformations across airlines, media, and now payments. including senior roles such as the COO at DPO Group, Head of Sales and Marketing at Jambojet, and Head of Digital for Africa at Qatar Airways. She brings deep understanding on payments infrastructure and transaction data, and she can also drive into both customer experience and commercial performance. Next, we have Sonal Haria, the co-founder and CEO of Canvas Cosmetics, co-founder of CB Consulting and Media Group. Sonal, are you here? Oh, welcome to the stage, please. Please give her a hand. She runs what is essentially an inclusive Kenyan-born beauty brand that is expanding to the UAE and the UK. She's also a marketing and intelligence consulting expert. She has spent over a decade building brands, designing customer journeys, and using data, digital marketing, in-store intelligence to really create great consumer experiences. Next up, we have Eric Muriuki, who I think we all know, driving one of the most popular financial services brands in Kenya for Loop, DFS, and CBA Group. Karibu sana. Eric is a financial services executive with over 25-year experience. He's led the development and scale-up of incredible brands such as Mshwari, Empower, and Mocash, and of course launched NCBA Loop. He's worked with platforms that serve over 60 million customers and holding over US dollars 550 million in deposits. So I think Eric is really going to share with us some really profound insights today. And last but not least, we have Siddesh Narkar, the head of product at CompuLinks. Please join us on the stage. Siddesh is the head of product and retail and technology leader with over 25 years experience scaling B2B SaaS applications. He's also worked greatly in POS, inventory, loyalty, and analytics programs. So to get us started, I'd like to ask you all a common question. And this question is really that many retailers today are data rich but insight poor. From where you sit, whether that's payments, retail operations, and digital financial services, or retail platforms, what is the most common data rich, insight poor pattern that you see in Kenyan and African retail? What is the first practical step that you recommend to move from collecting data to actually making better decisions with it? And I think we'd like to start with you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Very interesting question. Being in the consulting and marketing space, we always say that there's a fine line between the human element and obviously like the automated element. So for us, we always say that the output is always good with AI and data, but what is really important is the human input. So knowing kind of what you're looking for, and then once you get that data, it's about how you're combining the human element with your data insights to actually implement. So we also see there's a lot of failure in terms of the implementation stage. So really seeing what do you do with the data, how do you use it, and how do you use it to implement and engage further strategies for your business.
How do you do this practically in your own business?
Wow, that's a broad question. So it depends on the industry and obviously the business type, whether it could be B2B, B2C, and sometimes it's both. So really understanding what is relevant where. In terms of the numbers from a financial perspective, that's the easiest to normally debunk. If you're looking at the overall performance of the company, margins, profit, all of that. But sometimes there's the gray area, and that's why marketing is really important, to really understand the customer. So what is the combination of data plus the brand value? Things like awareness and stuff are not always directly driven by data, but can be informed. So just knowing how to combine all of it to really have informed decisions. And we always talk about the marketing funnel. So there's different stages of marketing. Conversion is always the easiest to measure, but when you're looking at things like awareness and consideration, these are the gray areas that are not only informed by the numbers. There's a lot that you need to measure outside that.
Great, thanks so much. Judy, how are you?
Good, thanks.
We keep meeting like this, huh?
I know.
Every year. So, data rich, insight poor, what are your perspectives? And I think with your rich background across so many spaces, I'm sure you have lots of nuggets of wisdom for us.
Yeah, today I'll be speaking around the retail space. So I think for data, it's around looking at the fragmented data that sits in different pockets, especially the retail. So you'll have payment data that sits in-store, online, on a mobile app, in social. So all customers, different customer touch points, different data sitting in all those touch points, and that is not unified, that does not sit in one central place. So then what you're missing is what is the actual customer journey, what are the insights that you can gain from the customer if you put all this data together. So it's around defragmenting this data, putting it together, and then being able to use that data to then determine who is your customer, what is their journey, and where you can add value.
If I heard you correctly, what you're saying is really you need to have an omni-channel view across all the touch points, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Correct.
Eric, how are you? I'm one of your happy customers. I love Loop. I use it every day. So great product. And of course, I see Loop-based is also making progress. You have a very unique perspective because you're seeing insights around the data-rich insight poor situation, especially across millions of customers. What can you tell us about that perspective from where you are?
Thank you, Moses, and good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me, and we don't have to have a Macron moment to get attention. Moses, I think to the question on data reach, I actually want to tackle this from the perspective of data readiness. Anyone who's embarking on a journey to figure out how do I integrate AI more into my business, the first question really to ask is our data ready? But the reality is every business has data in one form or another. But is my data ready for me to embark on that journey? And that journey essentially is then to say, okay, I have the data. Do I have the AI, the machine learning operations to then be able to take advantage of the data? Do I have the skills within my business to be able to make the most of the capabilities that AI enables? And I think it's an important conversation, which maybe we should anchor by saying one metric that is now being increasingly reported is the productivity gain that any business, and actually across all sectors, has when they integrate AI in their operations. And the metric is just 27 to 35% increase in productivity. And you're able to realize that quite fast. Now, the question is, as retailers, what are the enablements, or you're needing to make investments in different solutions to figure out how do I bring in AI more into my operations? And what we've been able to do as a business, as a financial services provider with very specific focus to enterprises is to figure out how do we build the platforms where our customers, as they take on our payment platforms, those payment platforms actually come already with the enablements to organize your data for your business. You might be using existing ERP platforms, or you do not have any ERP platforms. So we either integrate to your existing platforms, or we actually give you light ERP platforms that you subscribe to on a monthly basis. And that becomes the basis of organizing your data, which means your inventory, your customers, your suppliers. And since we are also a payment acceptance provider, any transactions when you're selling to your customers or buying from your suppliers, all of that data then now gets organized and has semantic models then that are available to you as a business owner. We're also going further to not just give you a series of dashboards. I think anyone who's running a business today, there's tons and tons of dashboards that you're now getting. But actually to give you a chat GPT-like experience where you're able to ask your data, is there a category where I should be stocking up more relative to what my customers are buying from someone else? Now, those are the kind of questions you need to be chatting with your business data to be able to see that you are able to drive greater productivity in your business.
So I think if I'm hearing you correctly, it's almost saying that really by unifying the data, giving it structure, giving it a sort of a cohesive approach, then you start to get the true benefits of things like AI.
Exactly. Is to look at your enterprise operations data, your payments data, your customer supplier data, and your financial data. And to bring all of that internal data also in the context of external data. What is happening in your industry/segment? Because as a significant payment acceptor, we are able to see a cross-section, and you can slice and dice to a particular segment or particular industry sector and compare your own business relative to your direct competitors. So the idea of moving from data reach to data insight, we've approached the problem by saying we need to create the enablements as opposed to just giving financial solutions, but create the enablements, embed them into the businesses, into our customers' businesses, so that when we're talking about working capital, we're not asking for collateral. We actually are able to see the enterprise operations data, and working capital then is something that is actually predetermined for you.
Fantastic. Siddesh, how are you?
Good afternoon. Yeah, very good.
So I think you also give us an interesting perspective because you're very much involved in actually deploying the infrastructure, especially at the point of sale and across the businesses that you work with in retail. What are you seeing when it comes to that, and how do you practically help these businesses address at a retail level how they can move from being data rich to insight poor?
Right. Most of the fellow panelists, they have very clearly pointed out about the importance of the data and the use of AI. I have been always advocating about data is the key, because without data, without clean data, you will not be able to make right decisions. And now with the AI models advancing on daily basis, you are able to make better decisions on your clean data. Data is in different forms. It can be a structured data, it can be an unstructured data, but we have now tools available. We have better LLMs available, which will help retailers to make the right decision. And data is present everywhere. I mean, as Judy said, that it is in different forms available. It is coming through mobile phones, it is coming from browsers, it is coming from ERPs. So right now, if somebody, the gold mine is the data. If somebody is sitting on data, not doing anything, it is something which they have invested but not growing it. That's what I think.
Great. Sonal, I'd like to come back to you. From a brand and operator perspective, when you started Canvas and grew it, what kinds of data did you focus on first, and what did you consciously ignore? And for a retailer or brand in this room, what's the one example where simple insight from customer or sales data changed how you did marketing, assortment, or pricing?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So just to give context, we are, Canvas Cosmetics is just under 6 years old. We really wanted to kind of innovate in the market in the sense that we wanted to bring a premium experience but still keep it affordable. So it was interesting because the data that existed was with products in either the mass category or the extremely premium category. So we had to use the data to kind of guesstimate where, because we kind of sat in the middle. It's about using the data to understand what is the industry in general, what is the uptake, but also we got to see customers' price sensitivity, what is the perfect and the optimal pricing for volume to drive volume sales, and we got insights to, obviously total volumes in the market. This really helped in terms of informing which categories we started with or which categories we prioritized. So for example, with our data, we learned that the complexion kind of categories is really, really big in Kenya, which led us to R&D for over 2 years, and then we just launched over 30 SKUs of our complexion range last year. But that really was informed by the behavioral, customer behavior in Kenya in terms of the way women did their makeup was complexion first. Our first product to launch that was driven by data was a lipstick, actually. So that, when we're a small brand, self-funded, we're just bootstrapping, we thought, what is the first product we would launch to enter the industry in a way that was seamless? The uptake was also easy. So we're also data, how loyal are customers? How easy, what does it take for them to switch brands? What's their loyalty like? So these are all the questions we asked ourselves and used the industry data and competitor data to really assess. But some things that we also kind of ignored was because we were different, because we were trying to play in the in-between, in the masstige kind of area. We're an independent brand, but still wanted to match on pricing. is to not also look too much at what everyone else is doing, to also kind of look at what your community within was doing. So we started to, as we grew our community, we used our community data more than the generic industry data to really inform what drove them, because we were also innovating with them. We were giving them options. So as their journey evolved with us, we were able to also look at new behavior, look at how our new and innovative products did, and then also inform the future decisions for us as a company.
So this sounds like basically data provided you the feedback channel or the insight that then informed product development, distribution, categories, and so forth, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there was a lot of trial and error as well. So that's also good, because sometimes, you will kind of make mistakes as a new brand or as a growing brand, but that's always the learning. So the data was really good to inform the learning.
Fantastic. Judy, I'd like to come back to you. Payments data is often the most real-time and reliable data when it comes to retailers. What are 2 or 3 practical ways you see retailers using payments and transaction data to understand their customers' channels and risk better? And what's one underused insight from payments that you wish every retailer here would leverage? I particularly like that last part. Yeah.
So I think payments is core for any retailer, because then the checkout process is very key for customers. And for me, it's around what are you doing to ensure, just what I said earlier, you know your customer journey, you know their touch points, you know where they're paying, what are they using to pay. So today, you said 50% of the population have used a website to buy something. Are you on the online? Do you have a mobile app? Are you on social? Yeah. So if you have so many touch points, your customer is accessing your product and buying from you. But do you have their data? Do you know that today, this customer, they browsed my website, but they came to my shop, and that's where they actually did the purchase? Do you have that data? So it's around using the data, looking at the data silos you have. You have data sitting on your social commerce, you have data sitting on your app, you have data sitting on your website, and you have data sitting in your stores. How are you able to know that your customer's journey across this, and you're able to then offer products or promotions? So it's very important to unify your data and so that you understand your customer better. The second thing is also to understand when your customer is about to churn. So churn, a lot of the businesses never know when the customer churn, and by the time you realize they churned, it's too late. So with data and AI, you're able to predict that, this pattern is showing me that, let's say this shop or this branch, I'm seeing a drop, and it's usually at this particular time. So let's say at lunchtime, you used to have high traffic on a particular shop, but now, because of the data insights, you're able to tell there's a drop, but what could it be, the reason? Then what you'll find is maybe they are going more online, they're ordering more deliveries, or you'll find, because you have maybe the last mile for that particular shop, you improved it, or maybe they went to competition. So with data, you're able to get a lot of insight. You're able to predict when a customer is about to churn, and you're able to take action. Is it a loyalty issue? Is it that you don't have the correct payment? Is it a pricing issue? So you're able to see that with the data and prevent churn. Lastly is around fraud and risk. With payment data, which is real time, your EQs in your website, we're able to give you a solution that connects into your shopping carts, on the app as well, and all the channels. And we're able to give you all this data in one single platform and dashboard. Additionally, we're able to give you data that picks when a customer is churning. Then we're able to tell you this is what you need to do, this is how you're supposed to react, so that you're able to prevent rather than react when customers churn. Lastly, when it comes to fraud and risk, that's our specialty. We are PCI DSS, highest level of security. We have teams that look at your data, and they're able to pick any anomalies and report to you, as well as the dashboards that we provide for you. You're able to pick any anomalies in the transaction data that you're seeing. I think for us, it's around those 3 points. Your customer journey, you need to understand it. You're able to pick how and the customer is churning. And lastly, around fraud and risk, you're able to pick where there are leakages in your business instantly from the payment data we share with you.
What about the one thing that people are not doing in retail that you wish they would do? There's that last comment I gave you. Is there anything that comes to mind?
Yes. The one thing people are not doing in retail that they should do is looking at fraud data as not a cost. Sorry, looking at payments not as a cost, but as a revenue generator. Because when you integrate and digitize your payments, the insights you get, you'll not be able to get that if you have defragmented payments. So it's around how do you digitize your payments, how do you bring them into one in a dashboard, and then how are we able to, so that you're able to see an insight. One dashboard shows you maybe you have 60 shops, how your 60 shops are doing, which region, what is happening. So it's around removing the fragmentation of data, centralizing it, and being able to make decisions from that.
Great. Eric, I'd like to come back to you. When it comes to digital financial services, a lot of value comes from understanding the customer behavior and also the customer journeys, not just in one transaction, but across the board. So how can retailers borrow from that playbook, especially around customer lifecycle data, which I think Judy has also alluded to, segmentation, and also experimentation, and to build that basic but effective insights engine behind their retail business?
Thank you, Moses. I think I want to maybe just respond to the question from a slightly higher up level, in the sense that the panel conversation today is very much about AI. And I want to go beyond the data that you already have, the analytical tools that you already have, and the insights that you're already doing. But we actually say, if you now consider that from an AI perspective, that AI as a wrapper around, an intelligent wrapper around your business. And it is a wrapper that can extend far beyond your business. So if you appreciate that the possible set of data available anywhere, not just the data available in your enterprise, you can now stretch an AI wrapper around it and be able to get intelligence from data that you have never owned and the data that you own. I think that's really the perspective you need to have with regards to AI. And to then ask yourself or consider that AI doesn't replace the business, doesn't replace the business owner. AI doesn't replace your management team. AI actually just helps you get opinions around a very broad set of data much faster. And the judgment is still yours. So with that perspective, then, I have the bias of responding from a builder's perspective. And I then look at it and say, with that perspective, you then will be asking yourself, as a business, irrespective of the size of the business, do I have the wherewithal to build that stack of technology that is required for me to be able to get, organize internal data, external data, be able to get the insights, translate those insights into strategies, and have the right conversation with my banker? That is what we have done with LookBiz, to organize all of that so that when we are having a discussion around finance, it is a smart conversation with the benefit of both the business owner and the financier, that is the bank, having eliminated the information asymmetry. The business knows, you know everything about your business. The bank only knows the bank statement about your business. How do we bridge that asymmetry between you, the business operator, and the financial institution, so that you're having the right conversation about the growth of your business, you're having the right conversation around how to better structure your credits. Actually, most credit decisions go wrong. Well, not the decision, but the utilization of credit, because the structure of the credit is wrong. It's not best tuned to the demand for the business of the business. So I think in as much as we're talking about AI, we have to remember it has to come back to how does it help my business make smarter decisions? How does it help me as a business owner have smarter conversations with my bank, with my suppliers? And what we've done with LookBiz is to try and take that build effort out of business operators. And it is true not just for a standalone shop. You could be running a retail chain or like one of the large retailers that we have in the room today.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Siddesh, when you walk into a typical Kenyan or regional retailer, where do you see the biggest disconnect between the data they already have and the decisions they're making and what they actually make? What is the one simple, concrete starting point you recommend? For example, a basic set of integrated reports, a single KPI, or a small pilot that helps them move from starting reporting to actionable insight?
Thank you, Moses. I think it's a great question. In my view, the biggest disconnect is not the lack of data or the quality of the data. I think it is more about the operational translation. And when I say that, because all the modern retailers today have their point of sale data, supplier invoices, payment transaction histories, loyalty data. But this data apparently is sitting in silos. I mean, there are different teams which are viewing this data, and they are reviewed in hindsight, not on daily basis, whereas the decisions has to be done on daily basis. So, for instance, if the finance team is looking only at the margins, whether the margins are increasing or shrinking, the operation team is focusing more on the stocks, whether the stocks are at the optimum level or they are not adequate, or the marketing team is constantly pushing for the promotions. And the fact of the matter is the managers on the ground are reacting only to the customer complaints. So the biggest challenge is all this information is in silos, and nobody is viewing them at a single point how to grow that business or what can we do to grow that business. Again, coming back to the example of if the marketing team is pushing for a promotion, at the end of the day, the measurable is just like, okay, has it increased our top line? But nobody understands that in that process, perhaps we have eroded our margin and our working capital. So to take care of that, I mean, one of the biggest KPI which is underestimated, and I will strongly recommend, is to look for the gross margin return on the inventory investment. I think it is something which is undervalued, but the idea is that that provokes the thinking within the organization is just not the sales velocity, but are we the capital, is it growing, is it productive enough? And for that, once you have started making sure that, or you have visibility across the organization, or you are thinking from that common point of view, you then pick one or two problems, make use of AI, and start implementing it. So it could be as simple as on your replenishment or on your pricing strategy, because the data is available. Once you have the data, you make use of data and make sure that you have the stocks at the optimum level. You have adjusted the prices without hurting the volume. Thank you.
Thanks for that. So at this point in time, I think we have a few minutes left. We can take maybe one or two questions for the panel. Whoever would like to ask a question, I think a microphone will be brought to you. I would like you to direct the question to a specific panelist, and please keep your question concise, and they'll be able to respond to you. So I see a hand with that gentleman there. Can somebody get him a microphone, please? Do we have any spare mics?
Spare mic.
Thank you.
Yeah. Where are the hands? Excellent. Okay, good.
Hi. My name is Brackley. I run a small data startup. My question was to you in terms of, AI right now is ubiquitous with everyone. We're all using AI, and employees are not excluded from that in a business context. But AI is much more useful when we look at it from a perspective of we need to give it data so that it acts meaningfully on our behalf. My question is in regards to how are you as a business now navigating that in terms of there is business data that is the competitive moat, but then there is this AI tools that are commoditized, and how do you bridge the gap between data that employees are supposed to share to an AI to be able to get things done? How are you navigating that landmine, and how are you thinking about that?
All right, thank you for the question.
He said the question is to you. I assume me. Thank you. I'll try to be very precise. I run a business of in 6 markets, 70 million customers, a number of partners. So you can imagine I have the exact same problem as you have, where you have tons of data, tons of dashboards coming in every day, and you're trying to figure out what should I be looking at today? Where should my limited attention be going to? It's the same problem for every business. And the question that you've asked, there's a technical perspective to it. It really comes down to what I'd stated at the beginning, your data readiness. Yes, you have a database, but how is the data labeled? Because if it's not labeled meaningfully, AI will not make sense of that. So I posit that solving that problem could be done one by one. Each one of us goes and figures out how to organize the data, your database, your semantic layer, put in the right AI tools. Or the benefit of why we are very excited to be participating in this forum is to say we've actually put out tools, because Loop is not just a payment platform, it's actually a financial services infrastructure. And of course, behind us is NCBA Bank. So eventually we'll come to take a loan, you'll come to make a deposit. There is a bank behind us. But we've solved the technical hurdle for businesses in terms of how do I ensure that my data is organized in such a way that AI tools can now take advantage of that. And that's what Loop Biz is about. Our stand is right behind there. We are launching, if you look to your left, a POS solution. We just went technical live on this yesterday. And the same problem statement I had for myself is instead of knowing which dashboard to read, because today I have this dashboard, tomorrow I have a different question, I don't have a dashboard for it. I have to go to someone to build a dashboard for me. Can I chat with all of our data the same way I chat with ChatGPT? And this agent knows where to go and fetch the data, organize it, and present me with the insight that I need. I want it as a pie chart, or I want it as a written narrative. That is a problem statement we had for ourselves, and it's the same problem statement we're trying to solve for our payment customers.
Thank you so much for that, Eric. Is there anyone else who has a question?
Yes, there is another one that was typed in just to respect the ones who also threw in some. Can I read it out?
Okay, yes, please.
Yeah, this is to Sonal, and the question is, and we're encouraging as many questions as well online so that the people who are here as well can be able to answer and get to have a feel. Sonal is being asked this question. What's your view on formulas generated with AI in cosmetics, even if the formula has skills and experience relevant to the industry?
I'm assuming they're talking about the actual product formulas.
I think so, yeah.
That's interesting. I mean, in terms of formulation, that's the most important thing when you're thinking about what you're putting on, your customer's skin. I do believe in the accuracy and the growing accuracy of AI, but like we've said on the panel, the human element is still very, very important. So either for companies that decide to go that way, we work very closely and we're very hands-on with our labs and our formulation. But if you are looking to kind of go that way, it's always important to have the final kind of tick or the final yes, and obviously, and final check being a human element. I would still say that.
Okay, great. I think I see Wandia there.
Yeah. Oh, hi, Wendy.
Everyone knows who she is.
So I don't need to introduce myself. My name is Wandia. I run a fashion company called Vivo, fashion group. My question is to Eric, although the lady from Network might have an answer as well. You mentioned the opportunity that we can get data beyond what we own, as well as data that we own. And I'm curious how this would work in terms of understanding what's happening, trends in the market, in the industry. I mean, we really struggle. We know how we're performing, but we have no idea how that compares to anyone else. So unless you know someone who's willing to tell you we're up 20% this year, and we know we're down or we're flat or whatever, how are your systems going to help with that? And yeah, so how would it work? Thanks.
Just go ahead.
Thanks for that, Wandia. So as Network, we process for multiple businesses and multiple retailers and in multiple markets. In Africa alone, we're in 10 markets. Across the Middle East and Africa, we're in 50 markets. So we're able to tell trends from the payment data that we receive within the retail sector. So if you narrow down to a specific sector or industry, we're able to tell you the trends. And we can tell you what we're seeing across retail is within the month, say, of August, there's a dip or there's a growth, there's exponential growth, or whatever is happening in the retail from payments data. Customers are paying perhaps with card or with mobile wallets. We are able to tell also if there's a dip. Right now, there's a crisis happening in the Middle East. We are able to tell what's happening in the retail sector in that market and what impact it's having in Africa. So because of the payments data that we are collecting in different markets, and even within Kenya, we support retailers. We can tell you the trends and give that report to you. We have that available today. Thank you.
Eric, did you also want to respond?
Yes. Good morning, my dear. I think the extra mic there was supposed to be for you, perhaps. But to add to the response she's given, the beauty about payment processors is we see a cross-section of data. And payments data is not just about what the amount that was paid, what was paid, who was paying who, what is the history between these two counterparties. Is this isolated or is it endemic in a particular region? Was it paid on credit? Was it not paid on credit? Was it paid after invoice? Payment platforms have all of those insights. And what we are doing is moving beyond. Some of you may not know that we built and operate Mshwari and Fuliza, and that started from payments data. But we're going beyond payments data for purposes of giving small digital credit to actually say enable businesses with insights. So from the data that you see, your payment processor can see beyond your business. We are able to cut insights, not data, insights of what is happening in fashion, if that is an industry that is of interest to you. And the thing, why we think this is very important is businesses make investment decisions based on insights. And at times you see a ripple today in your environment, but it was actually a very big splash further afield, and you're only seeing the ripple 2 years later, meaning your investment decision is 2 years late. So I'm not saying that we will see everything, because as I stated earlier, that AI as a wrapper is a wrapper that stretches beyond the data that you have, the data that your payment processor has, but also now start ingesting other data. And beyond the data that we process, we are also bringing in other macro data so that when we're giving insights, those insights are contextualized. So I think today, if you consider that there is 44, 45 banks in Kenya alone, we cannot compete on size of loan or price of loan. It actually has to be on trusted insights from your financial services provider. Thank you.
Mic is off for our moderator, not yet done, but there was a follow-up question to Sonal. You can see it up there. How does your company compete with the upcoming beauty products being marketed with an aggressive AI help?
Yeah, so we have the beauty of our sister companies and agency. So we do all our marketing in-house, from branding, packaging, marketing campaigns. But the good thing is we actually have developed our own direct AI sales tools to really help the sales process. So what a lot of brands do really well sometimes could be marketing, but bridging the gap between sales and marketing is also very important. So the AI tool that we've developed in-house actually helps save over 4,000 hours of inefficient sales outreach for our sales team. And this can vary on industry, but for us, obviously, it's things like retailers, depending on big retail, independent retail, if we're looking for anyone from users, UGC, influencers, we're able to increase our efficiency by over 1,000%, save over 4,000 hours, and we don't need a sales team very big. We need actually like one person to generate and run the sales tool. And actually, while the sales tool is running, the team can be doing other things. So this is where the beauty of implementing AI into our business has really, really helped in terms of efficiency, more results in less hours, and we're able to move faster in terms of our sales targets than humanly possible.
Okay, I see there's one question I think that's really pertinent and I think would bring value to the audience. How can retailers balance AI-driven personalization with increasing customer concerns around data privacy and trust? And I think any one of the panelists could take this. Who feels comfortable doing it? This is really about data protection, data privacy. Eric, you look like you're itching.
I can give it a go. I think what typically happens, innovation always runs faster or further than regulation. And we have seen now the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner has now been set up. Consumer protection has also been something that has been alive and kicking in Kenya. And anyone who's processing data today is required to be a licensed data processor or data controller, and there's a very clear governance framework for this. What was happening previously, particularly from a marketing perspective, where ID numbers and phone numbers are collected from watchmen and we then push SMSs, is now something that cannot be done without significant risk. So I hate to turn this into a marketing event, but again, we have a digital marketing platform that allows you, with very well-governed data privacy controls, to be able to market to your customers that have registered with you, but also to market from a placement point of view where you actually define, this is the persona I am targeting, the same way you do on Facebook or any other digital marketing platforms. And we promote your brand or your product or your service to that particular persona. So again, it requires us to build the infrastructure that enables the business, because it's not scalable for every business to build its own. Including some of the loyalty platforms we see some large retailers investing significantly in. I think it is a far more beneficial approach to actually say, let me get on a larger platform that is giving me smarter insights, as opposed to trying to build these capabilities myself.
What you're saying is it's almost privacy by design.
Yes,
that's privacy by design. And then, of course, you have your own ad tech. Siddesh, I see you have a comment as well.
Yeah, sorry, I was busy reading the question, but I agree with what Eric is saying. And just to add on that, today we are driven with the prompts, and the AI is reacting to the prompts. But there will be a time when you don't even need to give prompts and AI is reading your mind and doing things for you. So it is going to remain the concern, but again, there are options available. It's not necessary that you are always going on cloud for your AI APIs. There are options available where you can have it on premise as well and deploy within your infrastructure.
Fantastic. I think the second question was preempted by Eric's response from Anonymous, but we have one for you, Judy. Judy, how can we use data storytelling to help retailers see payments as a revenue generator instead of a cost?
Yeah, so AI, I'll talk about AI. AI today, we are in generative AI, which means you prompt AI and it gives you data. The next AI we are going to is Agentic AI, where a machine will be doing all the work. So what am I saying? I'm saying as a retailer, your customer, your next generation customer is not a Gen Z. It's not a Gen Alpha. It is a machine, an agent. That agent will wake up and shop, and behind it will be me, the consumer. And me, the consumer, since I'll have programmed that agent to do my basic shopping, get groceries, pay my subscriptions, and do all that payment. So what will happen is that agent will be shopping based on what is available on your platform. So if you don't have payments on your platform, digital placements, you don't have all the payments options that your customer requires, whether it's mobile money that's integrated, whether it is card, whether it is different wallets. If you don't have that, then the agent will skip you. You'll become irrelevant. Let me give you an example. Today, if you went to, say, ChatGPT and searched, I'm looking for a TV, it will search for what is friendly, websites that are friendly to the ChatGPT. And it will give you a summary. So this is the price of TV in Kenya. These are the popular models. This is where we think is the best place. Where will it pick those brands that are the best? Because it will depend on how ready you are as a brand on the website as a retailer. Are you there for ChatGPT to pick your data? If you're not, then it's no longer Google. How many of us now search on Google? Very few. The first place you search on is on AI, on ChatGPT, on cloud, on all these apps. That's the first place you go to. Then even in Google today, there's Google AI. When you want to give you a whole summary, then if you're not satisfied, then you go to a search button. So payments is not a cost. It is a necessity for you to be ready for when agentic AI is coming. And it's coming here. It's already here in some of our markets. So it's preparing you. It is a necessity. Today, for example, if you take an Uber and you've saved your card, when you get out, do you even think about that payment? You don't. Why? It's automated. You just get into your Uber, you finish your journey, you get out, and you move on. You don't think about payment. So payment is solely and soon going to be invisible. And it's not about a cost. It's about, are you offering convenience for your customer? Are you making it invisible for your customer? Is it a friction? Is it a pain point that you're offering, that you're making your customer not use you or complete a journey? Thank you.
All right, I think we're really out of time, but there's one very important question that I think will bring value to all the retailers here today. And the question is this, and I'd like each one of you to take a minute or less in responding. If a retailer in this room could do one thing in the next 12 months to get smarter with data and AI, what would you recommend and why? And we could start with you, Sonal.
Yeah, I think my immediate recommendation would be make your sales process more efficient, your outreach more direct to the right customer, to reach the right person, to get the right response, and to get the right lead. A lot of time is wasted with, information like outreach that lacks information. The contacts are wrong. You're not reaching the right people. There's less than a 0.1% success rate. So for me, it would to implement AI directly into your sales channel to really get the most efficiency and ROI on your efforts.
I think for me, it's just start. But where do you start? Because everybody is talking AI. Everybody is saying, do this, do that. Look internally and look at what is the quick and easy low-hanging fruit. It could be as simple as offering your employees an environment where they can use AI to reduce tasks. It could be as simple as just using the existing data you have of your customers to monetize it. Just start. That's all I can say. As small as it is, start today. Don't wait. Don't wait for an expert. It looks complicated. It is not. Just start.
Great, thanks for that. Eric?
I think for me, the one thing will be digitize your operations. Very simple. Say no to cash. Cash, you have no benefit of data. Start by saying no to cash. Start by digitizing how you manage your suppliers, your inventory, your customers. And as I've been saying, you don't have to solve the problem. LookBiz has solved that problem for you. And I know we're not the only ones. We have partners who have done this, but really start by digitizing your operations, because assuming it's a train that is getting everyone to the right place and you've not bought your ticket. Buying your ticket is digitizing your operations. Without digitizing your operations, you have no data, you have no starting point. I know we may consider the cost of digital payments, which are continuing to come down. We've seen let me not comment about that. And you may consider that cash is free. Yet I stated earlier that the productivity gain from AI is 27 to 35% of your top line. So you might be debating a 1%, 0.5% cost of digital payments relative to cash. Cash is not free. You have to hold it securely, and that comes at a cost. But the biggest loss is you miss out on the productivity gain. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Eric. And finally, Siddesh, please give us your point.
I think AI is no longer a luxury, it is a necessity. Being a product guy, a technology guy, I do understand it comes with a cost, but my recommendation is don't invest millions of your investment in AI in terms of having data lakes and all the fancy tools. Start or don't clutter your requirements with multiple things. Okay, take one or two things, focus on those things, see those small wins, which will help you to grow your business, and then start implementing it. But in my view, it has to be started, if not today, if not yesterday, immediately. And be cautious about your investment. Make sure that you are not cluttering your requirements, everything at a go. Take one step at a time and start monitoring it. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Sonal, Judy, Eric, Siddesh. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for your contributions. Please give them a hand. That was awesome.